Well, here's portrait number 5. It's my last large-scale portrait, and I'm gonna show here a little more detailed approach to the first coat of paint. I'm learning that if I work harder in this first approach, it will be much easier and much more interesting the next steps when I apply the layers and the glazings. As you can see, I have created a much more detailed drawing to work from, and I start applying the thick coat of paint, but I'm gonna focus on the face, especially eyes, nose, mouth, to show how I go over and over again through the different parts of the face, trying to create an image that is at the same time simple but rich in amount of information. I think what really makes a portrait, or in general a painting, magic is that we are able to create that atmosphere around the subject we're painting. And in my work, I try to get there, to get that, through offering a lot of information in every little spot of the painting. I constantly go back to the places that I've already painted with some different little tone or shade every time I see something that is going to work on some other part of the face that is already painted. I go back there and touch it, and that way I'm going to create this to me kind of rich surface all over the portrait. As you can see, I'm working on the eyelashes, and then I see that I can come back on this left part of the portrait that was already finished, and I go back and forth, and this way even the first approach gets richer and more interesting. To me, it's important that this first image of the painting, it's a simple but balanced whole view of the painting. That way I'm gonna be able to work every time I start my new session of work. I'm gonna just see what painting needs next, and it's not gonna be a close process where I try to reproduce or transplant the image from the photography to my board. It's a living procedure in which I come down here and see what is working, what is not, what needs to be done, and I listen every morning to what the painting is telling me in order to know what to do next. And probably this is why I disagree with people who defend painting from life as opposed to painting from a photography. Well, my subjects need the photography because I paint portraits with water running over or soaked, and it would be impossible to have them from life. But the way I understand the process of work that I do, it would be exactly the same to me if I had the living subject in front of me. I would do exactly the same. I would go there, touch a couple of brush strokes, come back, get away from the painting, see if it's working, go back. I use the image, the photography that I work from, as a source of information, exactly as if it was the living subject. And I think the difference is not in the origin of that image, if it's photography or life. To me, the difference, the big difference, is in the way we work on it. We use that information, the process of the procedure we use to create our painting. And I don't reproduce the photography that I have. I try to understand what's going on there, see what's going on in my painting, and see what I want to have there. Out of all that information that I have in front of me, what am I gonna need? What am I gonna use? As when you see one of the, of course, with the huge this difference between the two of us, but when I see one of the Antonio Lopez great landscapes, views of Madrid, he is taking just the information he needs. He places a million things on the board, but he could place 2 billion more. And he just selects what he needs, and he makes some parts work perfectly with just a few sessions, and some others are completely defined and rich in detail. And to me, that's the way to understand the process of painting, and is what makes this process alive. And so at the end, what we get is this complete and kind of balanced image of the portrait we're working on. And I'm gonna just apply a little more touches. This is the way it's gonna look. And then I start with this thin coat of oil that I apply. I remove it with my hands because I've learned that is the easiest and best way to do it. And then I start with the different ways to keep going with the painting once I have this first image. In this case, I'm applying layers of transparent or semi-transparent color, shades, lights. Here I'm just enlightening the background to bring out the portrait, and it could be like it happens here with a thick coat of paint. Here I'm using these ear sticks to remove some of the paint that I've applied because it takes a long time for it to dry, so I have time enough to do that. And this is one of the basic procedures that is with thick brushes. Apply layers of transparent color that is gonna make this kind of richness that I was talking about. In every square inch of the painting, there's gonna be a lot of colors. And of course, at the same time, you can apply thicker or darker tones or details, and you go get in the dark parts a little darker and the light parts a little lighter. And it, as I said, is all a slow process in which you just determine or decide what needs to be done. And just at the end, only at the end, is when you work on those little places where you're gonna do the little final touching to the piece. Something here, and nose and eyes. And finally, this is the painting. Hope you like it. Bye-bye.